Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to check out my poster. I'm Carly Busch. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a PhD student at Arizona State University in the Cooper and the Brunel Biology Education Research Labs. I'm really excited to talk to you today about a project we're planning to carry out this fall, because it would be great to get your feedback before I deploy this survey to assess the extent to which science and engineering instructors reveal or conceal potentially invisible identities to students. Instructors have been shown to have a particularly positive impact on students who share similar or the same underrepresented identity. And for some identities, students can tell just from looking at the instructor whether they share that identity or not. But students may not know whether they share an identity with the instructor if that identity is concealable. Specifically, concealable stigmatized identities are identities which are invisible or can be kept hidden and that carry negative stereotypes. A few examples include low socioeconomic status, mental health, and LGBTQ identities. Some research suggests that interacting with science instructors who have the same CSI may be particularly impactful for students' sense of belonging in science. However, it is unknown what proportion of instructors identify in particular ways and what proportion have CSIs specifically. To address this gap in the literature, we plan to survey science and engineering instructors in fall 2021. We have collected contact information for all science and engineering faculty and instructors at research-intensive institutions in the United States, which is over 50,000 individuals. We plan to answer these research questions. To what extent do science and engineering instructors hold potentially concealable identities? To what extent do science and engineering instructors perceive these are concealable identities? To what extent do science and engineering instructors reveal these identities to the students in their courses? What are the primary reasons why instructors reveal and conceal these identities? To what extent is there a difference in perceived stigma about an identity between people who have that identity and people who do not? In the middle of the poster, you can see the potentially concealable identities of interest. And I want to note that although race is typically considered visible, racial identities are not inherently apparent based on appearance, so may be concealable for some. Other potentially concealable identities we are interested in include LGBTQ identities, struggling academically during college, being from a country outside the United States, having a low socioeconomic status while growing up, being a parent, religious affiliation, being affiliated with the military, having a disability, political views, mental health history, and being a first-generation college student. We're in the process of piloting and revising our survey. And because the survey is long and individuals likely have more than one concealable identity, we are seeking feedback from you. Specifically, which identities do you find most interesting? Why do you think an instructor telling students they have these identities could matter to students? Are there identities that are concealable missing from the list that you would like to see studied? You can provide your feedback in the comments on this Padlet page via email, which you can find at the top of the poster, or during the poster session on July 23rd. So that you can envision how we would present these data, on the right side of the poster, you can see some examples of how we plan to answer our research questions. And note, these figures and table all depict theoretical data. For example, to address research questions 1 and 2, we will assess the proportion of faculty who report having a particular identity and the percent of those instructors who perceive that identity is concealable. For our 3rd and 4th research questions, we will examine the proportion of instructors with a concealable identity that tell their students, as well as the commonly chosen reasons that instructors decide to conceal this identity, for example. This project will provide an understanding of what concealable identities instructors hold, which will give us more insight into the diversity of the scientific community. Further, there's emerging evidence that instructors who share concealable stigmatized identities can positively impact students. So this highlights the potential instructors have in enhancing student belonging. Prior studies have shown that instructors conceal hidden identities because they do not think it would benefit students to tell them. This work tests whether this is true across a wide variety of invisible identities. This study serves as a basis for future qualitative and quantitative work to examine the impact of instructors sharing invisible identities in class. Thanks for checking out our poster. We look forward to getting your feedback in the comments on the Padlet page or via email, which you can find at the top of the poster. And I look forward to answering your questions and continuing the conversation in my live poster session on July 23rd.